So what should the coalition do from now on?
If the Pheu Thai take power, and then I I don't have a problem much if move forward is push away to be the opposition. To some extent, it might be also good for them as well to win big, more opportunity to win big in the next election, so that they can do everything. But today, if you look at the legitimacy of power, move forward has that. But then we have the NCP already planned all kind of mechanism to prevent move forward in Thai politics. Like now we have there are two cases in the constitutional court that I mentioned earlier. So this kind of thing is also planned. It's a kind of typical tactics of the military and the establishment in Thailand to use against the opposition to ensure that they can remain in power. So when we look at everything that we have seen today, then the Senate is there not to protect the interests of the people, but to protect the interests of the military and the establishment. And this is the problem.
Yes.
So it's not much hope for move forward in this
So
election.
in that sense, does that mean that if the provision that give the power to the Senate in May, right, in May next year, and if they didn't extend this provision, it means that the situation, democratic situation in Thailand might go back to something look somewhat common or normal?
What I was hoping actually, according to what Kun Visanu said at the very beginning after the election, that we can nominate the same candidate again and again.
Right.
So what I was hoping that perhaps they could use this strategy, but then now this strategy seemed to be difficult now because what happened.
That is why Move Forward so insists that they need the House Speaker post, right?
No.
Is it to renominate the same person again and again?
No. You see, had it been that Mr. Wan Muhammad Noor took the incident into his own hand, and he so decided on his own, then that would have been a problem. Let's say if we pull back, I totally agree with Ajahn that the senators are the problem.
Right.
Okay? The NCPO might have thought that we could have done it well with the senators, or they could have done it well with the senators. But here, I'm telling you, last 4 years, had it not been because of the Senate, Palang Pracharat would have been the government anyway.
True.
Okay, because the numbers of the representatives that time that would be on their side were enough, okay, for them to control the majority. Okay, now the problem with the two parties that were so close to each other, just 10 down. Many people were saying only 4 or 5 sometimes. The number one and number two party, they joined together. But in that situation, for example, in Germany, in many other countries, perhaps that's true. Because you know why? Because when they were trying to woo many other parties into joining, they found that the stability will not be as much as joining together. Therefore, the number one, number two, or number three were joining. But in this situation, you can ask people around the world, had you been Pheu Thai, would you have been joining with Move Forward in this situation had there not been because of the senators? Because I talked many times in the multiverse, with the parallel universe, that there were no senators.
Right.
Okay? Pheu Thai in this sort of situation, that they had a higher possibility and much better chance in order to form a coalition, would just sit back, relax, wait for Move Forward to fail, forming the coalition, and then they will be starting, and this will be principally legitimate.
Because
so it's, of course, I agree with Ajahn that the problem is the senators, yes, correct? Because had it not been because of the senator, what we will be seeing today already is that Move Forward will be definitely the opposition, sure. You see, taking what happened yesterday, I also disappoint in how all the members of the House, okay, the House of Representatives, took the argument. they should have gone to clause 36.
Which is?
When it was on the motion, it was clause 36 that said it clear that for all the other motion that doesn't have to be written. Okay, when you are proposing the motion, you have to raise your hand above your head, except for nominating the Prime Minister.
Okay.
Does that mean that except for, the except for or the but for clause, okay, this sort of statement, does it mean that the but for or the except for means that the nomination of the Prime Minister is not a motion or is a special motion? Then when you talk this point, then you jump to 136 that it is a special motion, okay, fine. Or you jump to 136 and say it's not a special motion, it's not a motion at all. But they were arguing on the 41.
So are you saying that there's 7 hours that they spend arguing
Such a waste.
yesterday, such a waste, they should have asked some political analyst or some lawyer?
When Mr. Wan Muhammad Noor was trying to explain why he got rid of the 4-5 names of the senators, he was explaining because the number, because of the number, it has to be nominated by the House of Representatives. Why didn't he just say that? It's so simple. It has to be nominated by the House of Representatives. That means Mr. Wan Muhammad Noor doesn't have any guts to be the president of the parliament.
Well,
and I don't see
though.
any 700. I don't see any 700. Okay, representative of the parliament had any gut to say something which is legitimate.
But do they know about this rule number 36 that you were talking
If they don't
about?
know, resign.
Okay, should the coalition re-challenge the House Rule 41 if they're going to re-nominate Pita or nominate Seta Thavisin?
I think they should and they must. But then I don't think if they would, because now Pheu Thai might want to, actually, like Dr. just mentioned, that Pheu Thai is just sitting and wait for the time to step in. And so then this is a good timing. And so then I don't think they would take a lead to do that. So it also depends on Move Forward. Now, Move Forward actually should do this. And then, because I don't think it would be a problem now, because the other debate that we have seen today, like, we can't wait any longer, we need a prime minister, we need a government, and that kind of thing. We have been waiting for 2 months, and like.
What would be the best case scenario?
Ideally, it's the best case scenario, then we should actually suspend the power of the Senate House, the senators, so that they wouldn't be part of this, and then we should actually give a second chance for Pita. That would be the best case scenario, but then that is not quite realistic with the situation in Thai politics today. The only choice, if they Move Forward still wanted the Pheu Thai to move ahead with what Pita mentioned, that he would give a chance to Pheu Thai, and then we still need the Senate to suspend itself as well, because otherwise it would be difficult for the coalition to win as well, because I think Kun Sethha also said that he would actually go ahead with Move Forward, but then Move Forward would not stop working on Article 112. That is another thing that we would have to think about. So the best case scenario to let things go, perhaps, I think if the Senate House suspend themselves, and then for whatever ways that they can do, because some people said if they, like skip the session or that kind of thing, that could be, perhaps that could work.
What about you? What would be the best case scenario?
I think suspension of the Senate is quite problematic, because let's say if the senators really suspending themselves, what does that mean? Because you will still have to count them in, because the Constitution said so. So how do they suspend themselves?
In reality, what you think that could happen that would be best right now for the country?
I think Move Forward will have to allow Pheu Thai, to form. Pheu Thai can still form with Move Forward. But if, let's say, Pheu Thai form and Pheu Thai asks Move Forward, in this situation, we want you to vow to pull off from section 112, no revision throughout this 3-4 years. If you want to revise it, you wait until the next 4 years, you become the next winner or whatever. But if now we are leading, we have to do this. If not, we will want to ask you to be the opposition. Is that okay? If that is not okay, then you go be the opposition.
Because Pheu Thai also said they don't want to touch 112.
Yeah, of course.